Welcome to Lit Talk Lounge. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to subscribe and like it. Okay, let's dive right in. We tend to think of being perceptive as, a superpower, a real gift. But what if that same ability, the power to see what everyone else misses, is also a really heavy burden? Today, we're going to unpack the psychology behind why seeing too much can quietly be hurting you. You know who you are. You're the one who always spots the subtle patterns in someone's behavior, the little cracks in a supposedly happy facade, or, the hidden meaning behind a casual question. It feels like you're seeing the world in high definition, but does all that clarity actually bring you any peace?
And that question leads us directly to our first big idea here, the perceptive person's paradox. This is the core conflict, right? Where something that should be a strength actually becomes a source of struggle. So let's break down what that really feels like.
It's kind of backward when you think about it, isn't it? You'd assume that seeing the truth would connect you more deeply to people. But in reality, when you see through the fake smiles of the little white lies, you often just feel more alone. It's not admiration you get, it's isolation. It creates this distance that's just really hard to bridge.
And this is absolutely crucial. Your mind might be the one recognizing a hidden truth, but your body can interpret that same truth as a danger. So when you sense a lie or you pick up on a hidden agenda, your nervous system can go into fight or flight mode. So instead of feeling liberated by your insight, you actually feel trapped by it.
So why? Why does this happen? What's the psychological machinery working behind the scenes here? Let's get into exactly why this kind of deep awareness can be so painful.
Okay, so first up, there's this thing called cognitive overload. I want you to think of your brain like a computer's processor. When it's constantly running calculations, connecting dots that everyone else is just ignoring, it doesn't just feel smart. It starts to feel completely fried. It's burning out from the sheer weight of carrying all these truths that people around you just can't or maybe won't see.
And that burnout leads directly to what's called the isolation of insight. Because once you notice those subtle patterns, right? The lies people tell themselves, the predictable ways people act, you can't unsee them. And that awareness builds this invisible wall between you and everyone else. It creates this emotional distance where you feel like you're just an outsider looking in.
Now, this might be the most important thing to get. If you feel like people are pushing you away, you have to remember this. They are rarely rejecting you as a person. What they're really rejecting is the uncomfortable feeling that comes with the truths you're pointing out. You're basically holding up a mirror they're just not ready to look into.
So, this brings us to the whole social side of it. How do our friends, our families, our coworkers, how do our groups play into all this? This next section is all about that delicate dance between comfort, clarity, and the groups we all want to belong to.
This really lays out the core conflict perfectly. See, at our core, we're social creatures first and logical thinkers second. On one side, you have groups that run on shared illusions. These are the little agreements and beliefs that make everyone feel comfortable and like they belong. But on the other side, you have shared truths, which bring clarity for the individual, but they often create a ton of discomfort for the group. They threaten that harmony.
And the engine that drives all of this is something called cognitive dissonance avoidance. It's a fancy term for a really simple human tendency. We are hardwired to choose the mental peace that comes from sharing beliefs over the psychological stress of facing truths that challenge our worldview. It's easier to agree and belong than it is to be right and alone. So here's the bottom line. The price you often have to pay for being right, for seeing things so clearly, is your sense of belonging. You're constantly forced into this impossible trade-off between truth and togetherness.
But what if there's another way to handle all this?
This quote right here marks a huge turning point for us. The problem isn't that you can see so clearly. The real problem, the danger, is the inability to ever look away and give your mind a break.
And that's what our final section is all about. Let's explore the solution, the art of looking away. And just to be clear, this isn't about choosing ignorance, it's about choosing wisdom.
Because when your mind is on 24/7, when it never ever shuts off, that constant analysis slowly morphs into hypervigilance. You're always scanning for threats, you're expecting the worst, you're reading into every single detail. That's not wisdom, that's a state of self-destructive, chronic stress.
So, How do you stop? How do you actually do this? Well, you can practice something called selective blindness, or what psychologists often call cognitive reframing. It's a process. It all starts with step 1, just recognizing when you're in that hyper-analytical state. From there, step 2, you reframe the situation. And then, step 3, you deliberately shift your focus from what's true to what's actually useful. And finally, step 4, you consciously choose peace over endless analysis.
And let's be really clear about this. This is not about pretending you don't see what you see. You don't have to unsee the truth. The real goal is to simply give yourself permission to put that truth down for a while, to stop carrying the weight of it in every single moment of your day.
And this, right here, is the ultimate goal. I mean, what good is having all this incredible insight if it only brings you pain? Real wisdom, real maturity is finding that balance. Because awareness that doesn't bring you peace isn't intelligence, it's just a special kind of torment.
And that leaves us with one final question to think about. We spend so much of our lives trying to see deeper, trying to understand more, believing that's where wisdom is. But maybe, just maybe, true wisdom isn't found in seeing more, but in knowing when it's time to stop looking, to let go, and to just allow yourself to feel a little bit lighter.